Welcome to Smoltzy and Friends, where we dive deep into stories of faith, resilience, and finding purpose through life's tough times. Today's episode is a powerful testament to overcoming unimaginable obstacles while trusting that there's always a bigger plan at work. Today I'm going to share a very short version of my own story, one filled with injury, uncertainty, perseverance, and pain for the loved ones in my life. So let me give you a little backstory. There was a time when football was everything to me. The rush of the game, being part of a team, the camaraderie, the dreams of taking it to the next level, until one day everything changed. After a devastating injury on the field, I was told by doctors I would never play again. In fact, their exact words were, "If you try to play again, you will risk walking again." At the age of 15 years old, how is one to process this? Just like that, the sport I loved was taken away, and I was left wondering, what now? I tried many other sports, like swimming and golf, and my back and leg injury would continue to flare up, so I had to stop after the season. During this time, we found out not only did I sustain the injuries during football, but I was lucky to still be walking. After further testing, I was diagnosed with having a bone disease and that my spine never fused at birth. The injury I sustained in football made it worse, and this is why things got so bad for my back and leg. Well, life had even more challenges in store. While in the hospital recovering for another surgery, I faced another battle. When I was in the hospital bed, a blood clot formed in my leg. It was a frightening moment that made me realize how fragile life can be. And just when I thought I was slowly getting back on my feet, tragedy struck again later in life. They told me that I would have to undergo another surgery to hopefully remove the clot, but they also shared that some of the risks and possible options they may have to take during surgery. Many years go by, and I started getting stronger. I landed a job, and I was heading home from work. And I was in a terrible car accident. It was the result of a drunk driver and hit and run, and my vehicle was totaled. The accident flared up my previous injuries, and more surgeries and procedures would need to be performed over the years. I ended up in a body cast and had to move back in with family until recovery. The biggest pain I've gone through is watching the pain and suffering my family members and loved ones have gone through. The final situation I'll bring up is when my left side of my body, including my arm and entire leg, was impacted without feeling. I had to relearn something most of us take for granted: how to walk. Step by painful step, I pushed through, refusing to let my circumstance define me. So now for the God story. Through it all, one thing remained constant, and that was my faith. Even when the world felt like it was falling apart, I knew God was with me. I never lost faith, even when it seemed like everything else was being taken away. In fact, it became stronger. I remember asking God, please use me as an example. I also remember going to my siblings' games and being their biggest supporter. Now, 40 years later, I'm now sharing part of God's story. This is not for pity, but to share praise to someone and inspiration to a listener. I know others are dealing with something more painful and life-altering than me, but I felt if I was going to create any more episodes, you need to know something about me, and I figured I would open up about something very personal. This podcast is about real people, real conversations, and I didn't want to exclude myself. So at 56 years old, I would have never thought I'd be sharing this story with anyone, especially a larger audience. And here I am recording this podcast, not as someone who gave up life when it got hard, but as someone who found strength in the struggle. I've gone from hospital beds and physical therapy to becoming a husband, father, uncle, friend, colleague, and a successful professional in corporate America. Who says God doesn't have a bigger plan for our lives? If you're listening to this and going through your own battle, whether it's loss, pain, or uncertainty, know that your story isn't over. Sometimes life's greatest setbacks are the very things that prepare us for the purpose we were meant to fulfill. I'm living proof that even when our plans are shattered, God's plan is still at work, and it's greater than anything we could have imagined. Thank you for joining me on this episode, From Sidelines to Success. If my story resonates with you, share it with someone who needs to hear that, no matter how dark it is. There's always hope, there's always purpose, and there's always a bigger plan. Until next time, stay strong, stay faithful, and keep walking the journey.